So, Nick, I've always wondered, you know, h- where you kind of get a lot of your discipline from. And I've recently saw your, episode, your podcast episode when you showed up on Marco's podcast, and I kind of like got to hear a lot about your background. So, you know, I'm really curious if you think there's any correlation with, your military background and how disciplined you're all going into running your own business, but also, being a sales rep, being a setter, being a closer, because I've heard a lot of your background and seen a lot of your performance, and you're so consistent with what you're doing. And I just find that so fascinating. So is there like a correlation? Do you think it carries over to business?
Um, yeah, absolutely. And I would definitely say I'm not nearly as disciplined or anywhere near as consistent as I would like to be. But that's the I guess you could chalk that up to maybe discipline and wanting to be consistent. But yeah, it definitely displayed into a lot of it because um it's kind of like when you're in situations to where it's not like, hey, if I don't get this done, then it just doesn't get done. But when you're in specific situations to where it's like, hey, if I don't do my job, we're all going to die. That is a
Mm,
whole different spin to where if it's something that actually matters, nothing else matters. And you have to be able to like separate whatever is going on personally, or you literally have to detach yourself from everything and be able to focus specifically on that one thing. Because if you don't, you're not going to make it, nor is anybody else around you gonna make it, which is like it's kind of like morbid, but it's just kind of the way that is. So like it does help. And then yeah, like the discipline is a big part. And I definitely could be way more disciplined than what I am. Like I'm actually like looking at what I'm doing now and where I should be. And I'm like, oh man, I really gotta like kick it in here because I should be a lot further than where I'm currently at. But um it definitely plays a big part. Yeah.
yeah. Is it just I guess because we all have the moments of, yeah, I should do more than what I'm currently am. Like, are these just unrealistic standards, or where are you like? Because I know
Um
you're a disciplined guy. I mean, like, you're definitely more disciplined than a lot of other people. But do you think that we sometimes should put like a very high, unrealistic standard on top of ourselves?
yeah, I mean I definitely I've said for a very long time that for me nobody's going to have a higher expectation of me than myself. And if somebody has a higher expectation of me, then I'm doing something wrong. Then I need to look at what I'm doing because I should always expect more out of myself than somebody else is. Now, that hasn't always been the case, of course, because like if you're starting something new, you might be like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing, or I don't know how to do this. And then say you meet a mentor and they're like, look, like you actually have the proper experience. You just need to wrap your head around it in a different way and look at this from a different approach to where they see what you could be and you don't know how to see that in yourself yet. But I think a lot of it stems too just from like growing up. Like I didn't start talking till I was almost 5 years old. I've always been told, hey, you got to work a lot harder just to get the simplest of things. So like growing up, it used to really irritate the living crap out of me. And like it still does, but it's like it's giving me this chip on my shoulder to where if somebody's like, hey, you can't do this, I say take a number, here's your seat, and like watch. So like I've kind of been like that. And Chase, I think you're very much kind of the same way in that aspect to where it's like,
Hang
hey,
on, stop. You just called me Chase, dog.
oh my God, my eyes.
I caught that too.
I'm out. I'm out.
Chance, damn, man. See,
No
I'm
sweat.
getting old. I'm getting
Uh,
old, dude. I need to get some glasses or something.
Yeah, man. If I didn't have mine on, I can't see anything. Um,
It's
yeah,
terrible.
I didn't catch all of all of what you said. To be honest with you, I was rescheduling this lady that no showed our appointment. But when it comes to discipline, it's kind of crazy, man. I'm probably one of the most and least disciplined people. Like I
Yep.
know what I need to get done and I get it done, but I'm not like I have a checkbox and like a rating 1 through 10 and doing this in these specific times and blocking this out for this, right? Like so that's where I say I'm one of the least, but I also get my shit done. So that's where I also say I'm one of the most. So I guess that goes to my ADHD, like organizations out of the door, but we can hyperfixate and get stuff done.
Yeah. So are you I wonder if you're the same way that I am. Like if you've got a project, for whatever reason, I always have to do it like on a deadline. And if I try to set myself a deadline, it usually doesn't work.
Yep.
But if I set a deadline that's like really tight, that's when I tend to do like my best work, which is actually really annoying because it's like I don't always want to have to be that way, but that seems to be when I make that switch to where I do get that discipline because naturally I'm actually pretty undisciplined. If I
Yeah.
want to do something, I'm going to do it. If I don't want to do it, most of the time I don't do it. And I'm more so on the not wanting to do something than I am on the doing of it. But I've learned that, we never grow if we don't do the things we don't want to do. So it's like that dichotomy of balancing it.
I agree, man. I know college is like college is overrated these days or whatever, but I graduated with my bachelor's with a 3.85 GPA and I procrastinated everything. Like I did final projects 2 nights before they were due because I did, like you said, I did my best work when there's a short deadline, or else I'm gonna like kind of half-ass it. Same thing as, and I've told this story numerous times, so I'll be really quick here. But same thing when I got into the online sales world, I did it in a time where I had to make it work in 2 months, or I was going to run out of money and lose my apartment and my car. Right, so it's like those putting the back against the wall moments that I feel I thrive in most, and it kind of sounds like you do too.
Yeah, it's like I've learned if I give myself too much time, I'm gonna overthink the living shit out of it to like the most minute detail, and then I don't even get it started because like I've thought my way out of actually taking the action because I'm like, oh my God, this is so much bigger than what I thought it was. Versus if I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna leave that until I know I have to get it done. I'm gonna work on the next thing that I have to get done because otherwise I overthink it and then nothing gets done.
Yeah. I just made a post about something very similar because I've had a lot of conversations and a lot of people struggle with like personal branding when it comes to in this remote, hard to get online setting space. People are either all overcomplicating personal branding or they're not doing it at all. And there's no middle in between. Like people are thinking too much or they're not just doing it.
Yeah.
It seems to be no middle.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen more so on the not really doing so much. Like I haven't really done it a lot, but I don't know. My take's a little bit different to where I really don't like social media. I actually kind of hate it, to be honest. I think it's just a kind of a smokescreen, but at the same time, I have made some really, really good relationships on social media as well. So it's kind of like I'm more of a, as you are very well aware of, I'm more of like a deep, I'm not a surface level kind of guy. And to me, like social media feels very surface level to where like I connect with people, but I do it in a more so like, okay, these are the kind of people I would like to connect with. Like, how can I start, a conversation with them to where it's actually going to be beneficial for everybody, not just, the DMs that we all three of us probably get in our inbox is like, hey, are you looking for appointment setters or something like that? And say, I don't even know who you are. Like, why would I hire you? I don't even know you. Like, you're in my spam folder.
Yeah, you said it exactly exactly with the tone that Chance does it every time. I don't even know who you are. That's exactly how Chance says it. Tell
Or
me I'm wrong,
they'll,
Chance.
oh, or
No,
they'll be like,
you're right, man.
they're like, oh, I see you're a business owner. It's like, bro, nothing in my actual profile at the moment says I'm a business owner.
Bro, I swear,
Oh,
hate that one. Hey, I see you're a business owner. We offer free lead generation, or we give a 1 week free trial to
Mm.
build your business on TikTok. And it's like, dude,
Don't forget
it's
about the VA
crazy.
services, man. Give some love to the VA services.
It's free because they can't get anybody. So of course it's free. And that's how they're getting their businesses by doing exactly what they're doing to us. It's like, dude, if you were good, you wouldn't have to slide into DMs to get the business the way that they're doing it. Because there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. But like if you start an actual conversation, like we've all kind of learned from like JD, to where it's like, find a good compliment and then, have a good response. It's actually going to make them want to respond back. That's how you start that relationship, just like you would if you're out somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a car guy. So if I saw somebody with a really nice car, I'm going to walk up to him and be like, hey, man, really nice car. That starts a conversation that gives them a compliment. It's something that they're interested in, because if it's a nice car and they've done some work to it, they're going to want to talk about it.
Yep. Yep. And it took some time to check out the car, right? Because if they've done some customizations to it. Now in this online space, people won't even look 3 seconds on your profile.
Oh, it kills me, dude. They're like, oh yeah, I see you're into this. It's like, I don't even have a business in that. What are you talking about? I worked at the company. I don't own that company.
Yeah, it's like, I love your content. And then it's the
What
last post from
content?
2021.
Yeah.
What content?
Yeah. I get that one like a lot actually. And I'm like, what content? I haven't posted really almost anything at all. And that's intentional. Like that's gonna change here soon. But even with that, like the content I'm gonna post has a very specific purpose.
Yeah. Yep. That mostly all the outbound DMers won't read, especially if it's like long posts or even short posts. They won't even take 5 minutes to read, put a nice, meaningful comment, and then slide in with, "Hey, I like this. This really resonated. I love your story. I love your transformation." And man, I get how you how you or when you say that social media is very surface level, because it's
Yeah.
definitely just like a touch and then move on to the next one, move on to the next one, move on to the next one. It's like doing it with 100 people.
Yeah, or you get like the compliment, but you get like the same canned compliment that you saw them give to 15 other people. It's like, dude, really?
The copy
It's like,
pasta.
yeah, it's like you gotta put some effort into this, man. Like, I'm not an unreachable person. Like, if somebody leaves a genuine comment, I'm going to reply. Like, I'm just going to, because I'm not a dick and I'm not that busy. Now, I might not
Yeah,
reply right away, but I'm gonna want to reply because like it makes me want to reply. But it's like, oh yeah, I agree 100%, and they just leave that. It's like, all right, well, like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, thanks for commenting, but like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, yeah, man, absolutely. Why am I going to take the time to that? I'll just like the comment
yep, yep.
and then forget about it, because it's very easy to forget about stuff that we see on social media. So like, it doesn't last long.
Yeah. Once we're talking about outbound DMs, like what's one of the best DMs that you've like received? Like if you just one out of the mind.
Uh, I'm not really sure, man, to be honest. If I had to say, the best ones that I've gotten have been from people that have gone through like UCM, honestly.
Yeah,
And usually it's something from like a post that I made. But what makes the difference is it's not, hey, I like your content. They'll like take the time to like actually read something and then comment on something specific in whatever that piece of content that they maybe referenced. That's what makes a difference. Because it's like, oh, you actually read it. You're just not just giving me a BS like, oh, I love your content, man. It's like, all right, what do you want? But like if they actually say something to like act that actually applies,
yeah,
like that's a lot more meaningful, because like, hey, this person actually took the time not only to read it but to think of something that's thoughtful, and like that means a lot. because like everybody, if you're gonna take the time to like write something or share something, like it feels good when somebody takes the time to like, read through it and then leave like a personal comment that's actually personal. And it's
Yeah.
very easy to tell what's a personal response and what's like just some BS template, because chances are if you get one VA appointment setting one, you've got the same damn message 100,000 times because they don't use a different message, which kills me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you received the latest one that's been going around by I've seen three different profiles. It's like, do you need another commission only appointment setter? I finally found where that message come from. I
Hmm.
found the group and there's tons of them. There's too many.
Um, yeah, I still get them. Like, why? Nothing. I haven't posted anything that remotely shows. But again, like just looking at a profile for 5 seconds will change that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's important in sales. Like if you can take a little bit of time just to kind of get an idea, if you can, to like see what you can learn about the person, whether you're DMing outbound, it's kind of hard because you usually just have a number and well, good
Yeah.
luck. But um, it's all about the intent, though. Like you can't hide the intent. If your intent is to sell somebody, they're going to smell it from a mile away and they're going to tell you to pound sand. But if you're intent on actually helping somebody, that's going to come through and shadow through, even if it is like kind of like maybe not the strongest message. If you can sense the intent that they're like trying to make a genuine connection, usually, you'll take the time to at least comment or respond back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, well, they tried.
Yeah. Yeah. There's I got one recently and like completely cold, and it was a compliment and then see my YouTube. So this guy spent maybe like half an hour to go through two videos, and he gave specific inbox like specific compliments to like the specific lines that I said in the video. I completely forgot that I even did. And then he was asking me if I could help him out. I was like, damn, all right, this guy's actually looking for something. Like this guy's putting in the effort. Like he's not just like everybody else. Like it's so minimum that you need to do in order to stand out. Like it's crazy.
Bro,
Yeah.
it's one of Hunter's like um basic elementary practices. Personalized compliment, right? People love being complimented. It's human nature, man. If you personalize a compliment, people are going to respond, right? And it's just the way. Like you said, David, that was, you said it was different because he personalized it. He picked something out specific that you said and framed the message around that. So you were like, this guy's different. He's not asking about VAs, right? It's a lot easier than people think, man. But sorry, Nick, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. It's and that's why like for me, social media is like a love-hate thing because like there is some really good stuff out there, but it's you kind of like pardon the French, you got to swift through the shit to find the gold. And
Uh-huh.
then with that, it's like, okay, now that I found the gold, it's like if you find somebody that you connected or resonated really well with, then you got to take that time as well to find something like David said, to where it's like, oh, okay, this is actually good, to where you can take that time to come over that personalized compliment and send that decent message. It's actually going to get a response and at least start a conversation. And it's like you said, it's really not that hard. It's just a matter of taking the time to do it and having that intent behind it. Because
Mhm.
I've managed to have like brief messages and a couple comments and some stuff that I've had for some people that I really respect in the space that I'm moving into. And it's like, oh shit. But that's because of taking the time to like make that comment and it like caught their attention. And especially if you're in sales, like if you can't come up with something that's going to get somebody's attention and like do it in a genuine way, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, that's the first challenge, first roadblock for people right there. We become too scripted from the generic training that we have, and we start to sound like everybody else. I think both you and I, Chance, everybody else in the space have sounded robotic at some point, or just reading off a script?
Oh yeah, yeah. I did it for my first couple of months closing, man. The script that my offer gave me that was dog shit, and then Bill Walsh's framework script that I just read word for word until I figured out why I was saying what I was saying. So absolutely, yeah, yeah. I've been there.
I think that's the biggest thing, man, honestly, is like I was just talking to Angie about that, is you've got to find the kind of like script or like framework that aligns with the way that you prefer to communicate. But then just
Mhm.
like what you just said, is you have to figure out why you're saying what you're saying and how you need to be saying it that aligns with the way that you are personally. Because like
Mhm.
you try to sound like Eli Wild, good luck. If you try to sound like Cole Gordon, good luck. If you try to sound like Jeremy Minor, it ain't happening. Like you got to be
Mhm.
your own person. And I think that's where a lot of people mess up, because like there's some gold in all three of those, but it's just a matter of putting your own spin to it to work. And even Bill Walsh, like they've all got like their specific frameworks, but they learned from a lot of the same people, and then they figured out what worked for them and got very effective at that. I think that's what a lot of people mess up in the industry, is they take it for gospel and they're like, oh, I gotta say it this specific way, and down this specific pathway way. Like when you're learning, I think we all kind of tend to do that because we're trying to learn. But once you get more comfortable and you know your process, it's like, okay, well, I could go from the top of the call all the way down to the bottom if it requires, if it makes sense in the conversation. And I can go all the way back to the top to fill in those gaps, because not one conversation is the same. Like a sales conversation is never linear.
No.
It's like a child drawing on a wall. You don't know what you're gonna get.
No, that's nice. Um, how did you kind of like navigate those kind of trainings to where you are now? Because as I understand it, you're kind of a growth consultant for business owners. You're doing everywhere from marketing, from scripting, sales frameworks and sales scripts, the entire sales process. Like how did you go from, just getting into like a framework and training to now actually scripting a lot of the frameworks to other business owners?
Um, so it's I'm still in the process of getting some final framework going, but I am working with a couple right now, and it's more so like I've always been extremely process driven, because it kind of goes back to like when I was little. I didn't start speaking until I was like 5. So like I read your name, Chance. I think I might be slightly dyslexic, because like I looked right at your damn name and I didn't even say it right. I'm like, ah, like maybe there's a little bit of that there, but sometimes do get a little tongue tied, and that's kind of always been there, right? But I think for me, I've always been very process driven, and I'm more of actually a marketing person than I am a sales guy. Um, so like I understand sales because I had to understand sales. Because like if you don't know how to sell, good luck having a business. you It's not going to work. And I know this because I've already been stubborn and hard-headed enough to try to start multiple businesses and not even knowing anything about sales at all. And well, that's why they never worked. Well, one of many reasons, but that was a big one. So like just like taking those things together, and then the experience that I've had to where I've been on a lot of offers. And a good part of that was my own fault for not picking the right offers due to a lot of different reasons. Some of those were like, hey, an offer can be great. And then 2 months later, something completely random happens that nobody planned for, that you can't control. And it just happens. And it's like, all right, well, I got to go because this isn't working.
Comments.
It's like, I don't want to leave. I got to go.
What was that?
I have
I was
no
like,
idea, bro. My
some AI
computer's
Alexa, yes.
yeah, my computer's talking to me. I was
No,
closing some tabs and it fucking said comments. Like what the fuck's going on? Sorry about that, fellas. My fault. That was
it's all
so
good.
weird.
But yeah, man, it's just a matter of I've always been very, very process driven. And I've always wanted to have my own business too. So that's also been part of the reason why I've probably not lasted very long in a lot of places because I'll start trying like encounter things and I'm like, oh, I would like to be able to like fix this, right? But that's not my role. But like I kept running into the marketing's not connected with the sales. The sales is connected with the marketing. Well, like, it's like if the marketing and the sales works together, everybody's life is a lot easier. You're going to get better quality leads. The sales calls are going to flow a lot easier, even if you're not good at sales, because it's a continuous message that's not using deceptive practices of like calling a strategy call when it's not a strategy call. It's a fucking sales call. Stop calling it a damn strategy call. You're not
Yeah.
giving anybody strategy.
A free consultation.
I hate
Yeah.
those.
It's like, no, dude, it's not. Like, so like, and because of that, that's causing like a lot of distrust. Like salespeople are already not trusted for a good reason because a lot of them aren't above the board. A lot of them will sell you even though they know you shouldn't. Like one of the biggest things I pride myself on is only having 2 refunds. And one was because I listened to the account owner who I shouldn't have listened to. And I told him, I was like, this guy's going to refund in 48 hours. And he did. And then the other guy, his brother passed away and he had a refund, which is really bad. But those are the only 2 that I'm aware of. All the other times where I wasn't sure that it was going to be the right fit for him, I didn't sell him at the expense of my pocket because I saw it as I'm like, okay, like, yeah, it might cost me commission, but who's really losing in this scenario? Because I've been in that case where I've been sold a high ticket program where I had no business being in there. It's like my mindset wasn't right, or maybe it wasn't the right time, or maybe it was the last of my money. Like there's very few people in this world, if they've got 5K and you take the last 5K, they're going to be able to maintain that mental stability and not be too stressed out because they just spent all the money they have. They're going to be too worried about money to be able to focus correctly on what they need to because they're going to be focused on survival. Like that's not setting somebody else up for success.
Yeah.
So like having proper marketing and sales and fulfillment in between all of that, it's all combined. And a lot of businesses, they just don't have those things in place because maybe they don't know. Some don't care. A lot just don't know, or they just haven't taken the time to like kind of make those connections.
No, that was a brilliant answer. Damn.
I completely agree, man. Something I pride myself on as well. Um, the only I think trying to think here. I haven't had a refund on the offer I'm on. Um, I had a lady try to charge back, but it was like a weird scenario. And then on my last offer, I had to refund a PIF. However, he was in the program for like I think 6 weeks, and I'm the one that ended up telling them to give him a refund because our guys were trying to fight it. His wife was diagnosed with like stage 3 cancer, and he's like, I need
Oh,
this $7,000. And I was like, dude, I'm not gonna. What are you guys doing? Give him his fucking money. You understand you're gonna pay your commissions back? Yes, I don't care. Give
yeah,
the dude
be a
his
good
money back.
human.
His wife has cancer, bro. What are you talking about? Like, why are we even having this conversation right now? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. And it's an interesting like dichotomy between it too, right? There's just so many people that just demand a refund because it'd be like, oh, well, this program didn't work. It's like, okay, well, let's take an inventory of the events, right? And usually if somebody is in a program and they're like, oh, this program doesn't work, I want my money back. I would vouch to say probably 98% of the time it's because the salesperson didn't give a shit and just wanted the comps.
Yep.
Because it should have been able to sniff that out. And if they didn't, they either A, don't have enough experience yet, or B, they don't care. But usually they just don't care. It's just not hard to tell. Like, it's like, oh, like this person's on Social Security. I'm going to take their last $1,500 to get them into a business program for them to start a business when starting a business is literally one of the hardest possible things you can do. Like
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah. It happens a lot in the space where we are now. I spoke with a guy last week, and he invested in a remote high ticket sales course with guaranteeing for a job, right? So before he even started the program, he quit his job, he quit everything to learn remote high ticket sales with a guaranteed job. 4 months went by, no job, still in the course, lost apartment, moved back with his parents, lost everything else, right? Still no income, and is stuck, right? Is completely stuck.
Yeah, I
And the
think I
thing
know.
is, when I spoke with him, he's not even a native English speaker. So before he could get in the course, he had
Oh
a
my God.
month learning English, and he already paid the money, right? It was, man, it was super tough to see, but it happens a lot within remote high ticket sales too. Like people want to get into this space.
Well, it's also like it's interesting too, the whole like guarantee thing also because
Yeah,
like because you'll have some people, it's like, well, you're gonna guarantee me this. It's like, well, can you guarantee me you're gonna show up and do what you need to do to be successful at this? It's like, well, I'm not sure. Well, there's your answer. It's like
yeah,
not trying to be like rude, but like I don't know what you're gonna have. Or like you might have a crazy scenario, like chance what you said, like the guy found out his wife has stage 3 cancer. Like he's not gonna be successful because there's
No,
much more important factor going on in his life right now to where nothing else matters.
yeah.
Or should it, right?
No, and it was just, yeah, no, I completely agree, man. Obviously, we're all in this. We had a conversation with Mohammed. What's his last name? Laswad,
I think it
Laswad.
was Last One before, but he's married now, so it's Nasser.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
my fault. Mohammed. Sorry, buddy, if you're watching this. We had a conversation with him, and he brought up a very good point, which is like these salespeople, and I'm sure you've heard them where they're like, "Oh, I'm in this to change lives and do this and do that," and it's like, let's be honest, man. When you got into sales, it was to make money. Yes, there are some other benefits, and I know that you're not necessarily just closing now, Nick. You do all kinds of shit, but people who are closing or in the online high ticket space, part of this is for money, right? And I understand that, but when I'm not a religious man at all, but the only quote from the Bible that I think of all the time is the love of money is the root of all evil, right? When it gets to the point
Yep.
where the money clouds your judgment, you got to start doing other things, man. And yeah, I'm happy you brought that up, Nick. It's a very good point, man, because you see it a lot. Especially I do biz op. That's like my thing. I don't know why. I've
Oh
heard
man.
how hard it is and people don't like it, and I
Yeah.
like it, man. I've been wanting to try something else, but especially in the biz op world, man, people are just slinging
Oh, it's
these coaching
crazy.
packages and businesses left and right that the people that have no business doing them, man. Like,
Yeah, dude, a business
oh,
is a no contact, like full contact, no pads, like eat glass in the morning for breakfast, lunch, dinner, like wake up in the middle of the night, be like, ah, am I doing this right? And like, man, I thought sales was like the ultimate like personal development program. Shit. Like starting your own business is like kicked it up to like a next level because like I'll be working like my other job for like stable income because I stepped away from like the sales space because I'm like, all right, like I want to take that time I'd put towards sales and build my own thing. So like I like deliver pizzas for the moment just as like a way to have like some stable cash flow, right? Until things kind of get going. But so like and I also took that job intentionally because I can listen to a podcast, I can listen to a book, I get a lot of thinking time when I'm on the road to where I can kind of like work things out in my head. So like I could have got a different job, but I chose that for those specific reasons. So it's like I'm kind of almost moonlighting when I'm not moonlighting. But the benefit of that is because it's like now I've kind of shifted to where I have to like divide myself into two. Because it's like I got to look at things as a business owner, and then I also got to separate the things that need to get done from the person that's actually doing it. So like lately, like literally 2 days ago, I was thinking about this and I was like, all right, like as a business owner, if I was the employee, since I'm the employee of my business, if I had an employee that was doing the same type of things that I'm doing right now, I would can him. I was like, I need to get my shit together. And like that's a weird conversation to have with yourself. It's like, dude, you need to pull your head out of your ass and like chop chop. Like it's time to get things going, man. But it's so weird because it's like everything I learned from being a sales rep, I'm literally having to like redo all of it again as a business owner. It's so weird.
Yeah, man. I'm looking to getting into like the coaching and consulting space. Sales is great. I've had my fun. Closing has been great, but I'm kind of ready for that next journey. And for me, coaching and consulting is more hands-on transformational than just taking payment.
Well,
Right.
absolutely. Like, because I got into sales for the same reason, like I wanted to make more money.
Mm-hmm. Of
Granted, I wanted to help people make better decisions and not be
course.
a piece of shit and just save people's money because I've had it
Of
happen to
course.
me. But the bigger thing was I wanted to have a better income. But like I've had the opportunity in a lot of the jobs that I have had to where I've trained people and I've coached people. And honestly, there was very few things in this world. Like I don't have any kids, so like I can't compare to that. But from a personal standpoint, there's very few things that are better when you can help somebody like come to like an epiphany or you help them see something that they were like kind of stuck on. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, oh, they got it. It's like seeing that click for somebody else is amazing. It's so much better when you help somebody else figure something out versus when you do it yourself. So much more rewarding.
I agree, man. And for me, I think the love of that comes from my first like job. My first real job was when I was in college. I was a tutor for 3 years, right? I was a peer tutor and then I was a professional tutor. And it's the exact same thing, right? I don't know if you've been to college, Nick, but getting that
Yep.
aha moment for yourself is that's kind of cool. Having some helping somebody else get that moment, oh bro, there's like as you said, there's no better feeling, right? And I
Yeah.
think for me, that's where like I loved that so much, and that's in my roots to where now I've done this, and I'm like, man, if I could help people get to the next level and accomplish some of their goals, I mean, that'll just be great, right? And obviously, David and I have our own thing going on, and I'm potentially joining a pretty big recruiter in the space to do some coaching for their setting department. So I'm hoping to be transitioned into like full time consulting and coaching by
Nice.
like the end of summer.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of transitioning into like as well. Like there is a service part of it to where I am doing specific things as a service,
Of course.
but there is a lot of like, coaching kind of consulting too, because like my one of my buddies that I was in the military with,
Hmm.
he's very talented with like videography. So I've been doing some work with him, but since he's a new business owner and he hasn't studied like marketing and really hasn't done too much with sales, 90% of the conversation is explaining why things kind of go the way they are. Or like, for example, he had his pricing at like $500. I'm like, dude, you were worth substantially more than that due to the
Yeah.
quality of the work that you're doing. Like you are talented. I know it's weird asking for the money. And it was so weird saying that to him because I'm going through the same thing personally, to where it's like, I know what I'm asking is well worth it. And I will definitely over deliver on what I ask for, but it's still that like, damn, that's money. And it's like different when it all falls on you versus when you're a sales rep and it's like, yeah, it's this. Like it took a little bit to get used to asking for larger sums of money as a sales rep, but like when you're the front end of that and you're the back end of that, that number feels a lot heavier.
Something that we will go through soon, chance, with
Yeah.
how things are turning out. I actually think you will be able to transition to coach, like not even end of summer, but like midway even before. It looks like very soon, but I think it will happen.
The goal is by end of summer. Obviously, I
By
want
yeah.
it to happen before the end of summer, right? Dude, trust me. And I don't, obviously, we're going to get this posted. I don't want it to be like sales is a bad thing or it's not fun. I love closing. Don't get me wrong. It is a
Yeah.
great experience.
Oh, we're still doing sales, man. We're still doing sales.
Exactly. I just have more passion in the facilitating of the transformation, not the facilitating of the decision and then passing off to hope the transformation happens. Right.
Yeah.
And if you play your cards right, there can be equal or more money. But to start, yeah, I'll probably make less money coaching than I am closing. And I'm totally cool knowing that, right? Because I think it'll be a better experience for myself and I'll be happier doing what I want to do. Right. Who knows? Maybe in a year from now, I'll be like, fuck, I was crazy. I shouldn't be coaching. I want to go back to selling. What is this? Right. But
That's
for now,
actually,
that's the vision.
it's funny you say that, man, because the last gig that I had, I was like I was called an accountability coach, but it was really a client success manager.
Yeah.
And this is really more so where the idea came from of like what I'm doing now is I love coaching, but I cannot stand coaching people that are potatoes.
Oh.
Like it's like, God, how did you even get here? It's like, okay, they got here because they got sold when they shouldn't have. But like coaching is amazing. Sales
Potatoes.
is amazing too. But it's like sometimes like when you're on the fulfillment side, and it's like, why are you here? You can't even use a computer. Like, this is a computer-based thing, right? Like this training is literally built on a digital platform. Like you can't even find your login email and like screen sharing, explaining it, and like he'll click on the wrong email. It's like, ugh, it
You
would hurt
didn't
so bad.
you didn't have to
But
mention the definition of a potato. We both understood exactly what you meant.
but like it's crazy, man. But like I think it all comes for full circle because some people they love being that initial point, and there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. And then some people like being like the back end part of it and finding like what aligns more so for you. But what I find to be the most interesting, and I think you guys might agree, is like once you get to a certain dollar amount, you kind of notice it's like, okay, yeah, this is cool, but like, okay, like once your needs are met, it's no longer about survival. So the money doesn't matter nearly as much as it used to where then it's like, all right, what am I going to do that's actually going to fulfill me in a different way? Like financial needs are met. Okay. Now what am I going to do that's actually going to give meaning to my daily actions? Because when
Mm.
you're doing sales and you make
Hit
that
it on
money,
the head.
it like it's good until it's not. And like once your needs get met and like you feel good financially, depending on like how you are, like you might want to keep pushing to like get to 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever that number is for you to where you feel like you're financially stable. But like once you hit that financial number, like the sales, it becomes like an empty sum. Once you hit that number, and everybody's number is different. And like
Yeah.
I learned even before I got into sales that like the money's great, but money to a certain point is just that. It's just money. Like what then it becomes like, why am I doing this? What am I doing that's going to, motivate me to want to continue doing what I'm doing? So
Yeah.
like transitioning into something different, like coaching, you might not make as much, but it is something that's going to give you a much like deeper connection, like fulfillment wise.
And
And
that's it's crazy you say that, bro, because that's exactly why I'm doing it. Right. I'm not saying sales has gotten boring. I don't even I want to be careful when I use the word empty because I still love helping people get across the finish line. It's
yeah,
just as you said, the money hits the bank account, and I'm like, cool. Wake up, do some sales, pay my bills. Cool.
yeah,
Right.
it's like it becomes like Groundhog's Day. It's like, all right, like I did the same thing yesterday. Like it's nothing wrong, but like it doesn't get like boring or empty, but it kind of almost does because like there's once you get good at something, like after a while, if there's not like that next level for you to hit, it's kind of like, well, what am I doing? Like, what am I progressing? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, 5K feels just like 10K does.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just feel a little bit more comfortable. But like after that, it's like, well, how much do I really need?
Nah,
Yeah.
I completely agree, man. I don't want to bounce off here, fellas, but I do got to get going. I had to stop at 45. I got a meeting to get to here. I'm managing my sales team right now, Nick. So I'm training some reps and I'm getting
Nice.
some fun in that. But yeah, I just want to get into coaching. But bro, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you, Nick.
Take us home a chance.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, David's gonna edit this thing and get it up. I mean, as always, give us a like, subscribe, leave us a comment if you have any questions or anything. But other than that, man, peace.
Hit up Nick if you have any marketing questions, because this guy is savage. And there he's gone. All right, we'll stop it right
Yeah.
here.